Hi guys, welcome to another video. I'm Charlie and this is Vamos Gaming Systems. Today we'll be doing an update on CPU pricing, and for the first time I'm not gonna just do AMD CPUs, I'm also gonna do Intel CPUs.
What?
So you can see that my whole list now is updated with both AMD and Intel CPUs for technically the month of October, but October is ending, so you can probably rely on the same list for November as well. Alright, so let's get down to it. First off, let's talk about our 7000 series, the cheapest, most basic 7000 series that we have. Let me readjust my camera a bit. So the cheapest, most affordable 7000 series that we have is the 7400F, which is a 6-core 12-thread CPU. It still has integrated graphics, but oh no, F means no integrated graphics, so it doesn't have integrated graphics, my bad. And the MSRP of it is supposed to be about 160-ish Singapore dollars, but it's actually raised up in price. So I think the 7400F is getting lower and lower in supply in China, whereby 7500F still maintains really good supply. So the cheapest I could find it on AliExpress, the prices do really fluctuate here and there, but let's go into this. So let's go 7400F. Yeah, 181. I have one that's slightly cheaper, but I don't know whether if this is a legit store or not. Yeah, there's only one sold. So how I actually review this is basically I take a look at I make sure that there are actually more CPUs sold from that shop, so that it's more of a reliable listing. But it is pretty difficult to kind of find the cheapest kind of listing that is probably legit or not a scam. Not that there are scams in AliExpress. I mean, there definitely are. There are scams on Shopee, there are scams on Lazada as well. So you have to be a bit prudent when it comes to online shopping, because a lot of these CPUs, they are not sold for just the CPU alone at the Simlim shops, or you can buy them CPU alone, but the prices are not listed in the price list, because at Simlim they are trying to sell you complete systems with both CPU, motherboard, RAM and everything. That's how they make their money. That's where they get the most margin from the entire complete system, just not from individual parts like just the CPU itself. So so that's why I only have PC Teams listed here, because PC Teams is the only shop that actually lists the CPU alone price on their price list. Any of the other shops on their price list, they do not have the CPU alone price listed. So yeah, the cheapest I could find, I think back then I did this list last week, 181, but I don't know whether I can still find one now. Like this one looks cheap, but has it sold any? Okay. So shipping in SGD, yeah, this is kind of expensive. Let me just refresh stuff. Yeah, so now it's in SGD. 181, 1625, so 3000 sold. Okay. So this is actually pretty cheap. Oh, there's one on 162.45. Okay. Yeah, so at this price, it is not too bad, right? Pretty close to MSRP. Yep. So $162, I think if you plus GST and all that, should be about 170. So not too bad. This one has how many sold? 345 sold. That's not too bad as well. 159.65. Yep. So I'm finding cheaper and cheaper listings as we go, but so it's around there. So you could actually get a good 7400F for about 160-ish Singapore dollars, 160-ish plus. And then we move on to the 7500F. So the difference between 7400 and 7500F is that 7500F comes with a soldered heat spreader, whereby the heat spreader is actually soldered into the die, so it allows for better conductivity, whereby the 7400F is only glued together and has thermal paste between the IHS and the GPU and the CPU die, so the heat transfer is not as good. But for the 7400F, I found that I have a deleting video for the 7400F on my channel, so you can refer to it. It's actually it's not that difficult to delete the 7400F, because actually the glue is not, since it's not soldered, right, the glue is not very hard. It's not glued in very hard, so you can actually like have alternative methods rather than just using the debauer tool. You can use other methods to actually pry open the heat spreader of the 7400F and just apply maybe a layer of liquid metal. That will be the best. Or maybe you can just put yeah, I think liquid metal will be the best, because if you put thermal paste again, the result will be similar. But moving on, 7500F, cheapest I could find it back 1 week ago was 179.76. Let's take a look. I think it's this one. This has 61 SOT, so it's 174.09 shipping to Singapore. Yep, so 174 SGD. Yeah, and it's pretty cheap. 7500F and 174 SGD. It is only 68% of its so-called original MSRP when it launched. So pretty good deal. I would say if you are going to use liquid metal, 7400F is better because you can delete it and apply liquid metal. And I've tried it out and the temps are really good. Temps are great. But if you don't want the hassle of deleting it and applying liquid metal, I would say the 7500F is a better choice for about $10 to $20 more. But it removes the hassle of of having to delete. But if you're not deleting it, actually the 7400F on most gaming systems still perform fine. Just that with the thermal paste, the temps, default thermal paste, the temps do go a little bit higher here and there. Okay, moving on. So 7600, the cheapest is at the techyard.com. If we go into processors, let's try and take a look from price low to high. Right, 7600 you can see at 215. Take note that I'm not doing an update list for the 8000 series CPUs such as the 8400F, even though it looks pretty cheap, like 190, slightly more expensive than the 7500F, because it performs a lot worse than the 7500F and 7400F. The reason is because the 8000 series, right, like the 8400F and so on, they are basically the integrated, they are basically the APUs. That means they come with big integrated like graphics on it, but it has the integrated graphics removed. So there's a big gaping hole in the die, and so there's very little L3 cache. And L3 cache is kind of like the X3D cache, right? Whereby X3D CPUs are so fast because they have a very big L3 cache. And L3 cache is really, really important for gaming. That's the reason why the X3D CPUs are fast, because they have an enormous L3 cache. And for the 8400F, because it has very small L3 cache, because there's a hole in the L3 cache whereby the integrated graphics is supposed to be, it performs terribly in gaming. This is why, since this is a gaming focused channel, I'm not going to recommend any 8000 series 8400F, 8600F, or 80 something G or something, because yeah, we're going to be using dedicated graphics with it. So I'm going to be recommending the 7000 and the 9000 CPUs from AMD. So 7600, cheapest we can find it is at 215 from the techyard.com. And 7600 is actually a pretty decent deal if you don't really trust buying CPUs from AliExpress. But basically, I've tested it out. I think 7400, 7500F, as well as 7600, even the 7600X, they perform really, really similarly in gaming. The only difference is maybe in terms of Cinebench. The 7600X will clock a little bit higher because he has a higher maximum core clock, provided you have enough cooling to cool it. If you have a very cheap cooler, anyway, yeah, you cannot get the full benefit of the 7600X, then you might as well get a 7400 or a 7500F, because it's going to perform exactly the same in gaming as compared to the 7600 and so on. But 7600 is convenient if you're buying locally, because the techyard.com is a local website, right? Backed by Aftershock. Moving on, 7600X, cheapest is again from AliExpress. So if we go back to AliExpress, that's 7600X. Yeah, cheapest I can see is something like 236, so something like this listing 1000. So this now is 237, so let me just update that a little bit, whereby it's not too bad. So during launch, it's really expensive. At the launch MSRP of like 400-ish Singapore dollars, 7600X was way overpriced. But now in AliExpress, you can get it for about half the price of its original MSRP. So pretty good CPU as well. But I would say go even cheaper and just buy a 7400 or 7500F, because in gaming, they perform exactly the same. And this one, the next one, is pretty good deal. This 7700. let's go to the techyard.com at 254 Singapore dollars. You will see that it is only slightly more expensive than our cheaper 7600X, but the 7700 is really good because it's 8 core 16 thread rather than the 6 core 12 thread of the 7600X and below. So anywhere from 7400F all the way to 7600X, they are all 6 core 12 thread CPU. And if you jump straight away to the 7700, just for like $20 more, you get 2 more cores and you get 4 more threads as compared to the 7600X, and that's going to perform really good in terms of productivity work. So let's say you're doing 3D rendering, you're doing video editing, you're doing streaming, for example, because you're running OBS, like I'm recording on OBS right now, and you're gaming at the same time. It is considered a little bit of a productivity workload because you have to run multiple programs other than just your single game. And the 7700 is going to do better in those kind of instances. So really good deal at 254. 7700 used to be really cheap at AliExpress, but I think China has basically, the supply of 7700s non-X's has dried up in China. So right now I would say the techyard.com has the cheapest 7700 non-X's. Get them while they last because like I mentioned, I think the supply from China is drying up. So when the supply dries up, the price of the 7700 is going to go up pretty steeply. So grab them while they last. If you are building sort of like a gaming plus workstation kind of a balanced station, balanced PC. Moving on, 7700X, the cheapest I can find it is on Amazon. So 7700X, and that is at 388. Okay, so it's slightly cheaper. Take note that Amazon prices, right, keeps fluctuating day to day. So it's not very reliable, but they will fluctuate by a few dollars up and down, up and down. But across the weeks, the promotions will come and go. So any prices that you see on Amazon.sg, they are not like fixed, so to say, but they should be in the general range in that short frame of time when you watch this video. But if you watch this video like 1 week or 2 weeks later, the prices on Amazon.sg might be drastically different because promotions come in and out, and yeah, the prices of stuff on Amazon keeps fluctuating every single day. Okay, so 7700X at this price not recommended because it is just barely maybe a few percentage faster than the non-X version. The X just means that it's overclockable, so the clock speed, the maximum clock speed of the core is slightly higher. That's all. And it's also higher heat production as well, takes in more power. So I would say go save like $130 and just go for the 7700 non-X from the techyard.com. 7800X 3D, this is a very good gaming CPU still. I'm still using this exact 7800X 3D in my current my main system, so to say, and it's been great. Right, I paired with 9070 XT. Yeah, and it's been a great gaming system. I have no complaints, and I'm considering upgrading to a 9950 X3D, but the price is really high. We will see that price at the end, towards the middle of the video here. So if you're looking for, let's say, if you want a really good gaming PC, maybe a gaming at 1080p or 1440p, you want very high FPS, 7800 X3D is still pretty good without going all the way to the 9800 X3D or the 9950 X3D. So $450 at the techyard.com, Sing dollars, by the way. Here you can see 7800 X3D, 8 cores, 16 threads, 450 Singapore dollars, which is really good, pretty decent deal. Other than that, I think the other cheapest one you can get it from Lazada or Shopee. You can find some local sellers selling them for less than 500 Singapore dollars. Okay, moving on, 7900 non-X, cheapest it's at Shopee, but I don't really recommend this CPU. Yeah, it's showing results for GPU of type Ryzen 7900. Yeah, so 597, I think is this one. That's the cheapest one, if I'm not wrong. CR Group should be legit. I think I've seen them around for quite a while. So 7900 non-X, about 600 Singapore dollars, but I don't really recommend it because you could get the 7900X, which is a faster CPU for a lower price. So at AliExpress, okay, on AliExpress we can get the 7900X. Yeah, let's see which one is the cheapest. 455. Yeah, the prices on AliExpress is also fluctuating somewhat. Yeah, maybe I have to type in Ryzen. I think it's this. I think the price has gone up. Yeah, the price has gone up. So let me update this. Yeah, 487. This is before, I think, shipping or GST. It says here free shipping, so probably before GST. So that means after GST, it's gonna be similar to what we can get from Amazon. So alternatively, we can also get from Amazon, maybe 7900X. 515. Yeah, it's no longer as cheap. Yeah, so it's gone up at Amazon as well, 515. But anyway, both of these are still cheaper than the 7900 non-X. So if you're considering between 7900 or 7900X, I would say get the 7900X. Get it either from Amazon or from AliExpress. Okay, moving on, 7900X 3D, cheapest is at AliExpress. But I don't really recommend the 7900 X3D or the 7950 X3D. The 7000 X3Ds, other than the 7800 X3Ds, has issues with core parking, whereby it's really difficult for Windows to recognize to get them to core park. Core parking is a process whereby, because you have the 3DV cache on one of the CCDs, and the other CCD has no 3DV cache. So if you don't do core parking when gaming, the game will try to use both CCDs, and the gaming performance on the 79 on these dual CCD chips become really slow, because it is trying to spread the workload between the X3D and the non-X3D CCDs. So the 9000 X3Ds have solved that core parking issue, because I think the firmware is better, or some internal engineering process at the hardware level has made it better. But the 7900 and the 7950 X3Ds are not really good at that. So I don't recommend those chips for gaming at all. But if you do want to get it, I think AliExpress has the cheapest one at 500-ish. I think maybe this one. Yeah, maybe 520, but shipping is a little bit expensive. He has 4 sold. So I don't know whether it's legitimate. But yeah, I don't recommend people buy this. I would suggest that means you go for the non-X3D instead. That will save you a lot of headache. You will get less FPS, but save you a lot of headache with core parking. Because from what I've learned from watching channels like J2 Sense, like you need a fresh Windows 11 install just to get the 7000 X3D dual CCDs to properly core park, and it's troublesome. Yeah. So not a lot of people want to have a fresh Windows install when all you want to do is just upgrade your CPU. You want to drop in, drop out, upgrade. Moving on, 7900 X3D, the non-X, 7950X, my bad. Cheapest I can find is actually at Shopee. So 7950X. About $800. So I think it's this one. Shopee, yeah. Yep, could be, yes, from Performance PC, which is a legitimate shop in Simlim. So 788. So if you are looking for 7950X brand new, you can buy it for 789. I would, well, comparing to the 9950X, I would say, yeah, it's not that good of a deal. Would it be? It's about $200 savings, because otherwise you have to get from AliExpress, which is a little bit dodgy when the price goes that high in AliExpress. So it's not too bad, you want to get it, but otherwise you can try and get one used on Carousell. So 7950X3D, again, I don't recommend this chip, but if you want to get it, the cheapest I can find is at AliExpress. Yeah, this one only has 2 sold, so I don't know whether it's legitimate. Yeah. So it's not really popular in AliExpress, so I don't know if the listings are legitimate or not. But it is what it is. Otherwise, you can actually get 7950X3D at Lazada or Shopee for below 800 Singapore dollars. But I really don't recommend this chip. I would recommend people maybe buy the 7950 non-X3D. So it's more reliable, then you don't have to worry about the core parking issue. Okay, moving on to the 9000 series, 9600X. Cheapest one is again from AliExpress. So 9600X. This one, oh, they actually, I found another cheaper one. Yeah, this is way cheaper. 279. Wow, this is way cheaper. Oh no, wrong. My bad. It's slightly cheaper. So 279 and 10 cents. So this is 70% of its original MSRP. Performance wise, it is really similar to the 7600X, whereby if you see 7600X is slightly cheaper. But if you're considering a 6-core Ryzen chip, right, I would say just save even more money. You can save about 100 Singapore dollars by going with a 7500F rather than going for a 9600X, because performance difference is really not a lot, and you don't get a massive performance gain by going with the 9600X compared to the 7600X, for example. But you're paying more, so I would say just go for the 7500F if you're going for a 6-core chip. Otherwise, if you want to go 8-core, you can either consider the 9700X or the 7700 non-X, whereby you can get it at 254 from the Tech Yard. So segue into the 9700X. The cheapest, again, I can find it is at AliExpress. So around 300-ish Singapore dollars. Oh, this one is actually cheaper. Yeah, so the prices are changing as well. So at 350 Singapore dollars, 9700X is not a bad chip, but I would say go for the 7700 non-X from the techyard.com because you save 100 Singapore dollars, and performance is not going to be drastically different. 7 to 9000 series is about the same, especially when it comes to gaming. So save $100 more, then that's extra $100 you can channel it to maybe a better CPU cooler, or maybe faster RAM, or you can get a slightly better GPU upgrade, things like that. Okay, moving on, the best mass widely adopted gaming chip, 9800X3D. That's the hottest gaming chip that everybody wants. I want it as well, but I don't think it is worth it for me to spend about 620 Singapore dollars to get a 9800X3D when I already have the 7800X3D, because the performance uplift from 98 to 7800X3Ds is not a lot, maybe 10 to 20%. And then again, I'm also mostly gaming in 4K. So since I'm gaming in 4K, I am GPU limited most of the time because I'm not using a 5090. Even if I'm using a 5090, I'm probably GPU limited in 4K. So the better CPU in terms of 7800 going to 9800X3D is not going to make a big difference. It's probably going to be maybe 10 or maybe maximum 20 FPS difference. So since it's not visible, it's not worth me spending another $600 just to upgrade. If I'm going to upgrade, in my case, if you have a 7800X3D, I think the worthwhile upgrade for people to consider would be going all the way to the 9950X3D, where you get the 16-core, 32-thread, and you get a huge boost in productivity performance, and whereby gaming you get a little bit of an uplift, assuming you're gaming at 1440p or 1080p. Okay, going to this 9800X3D, the cheapest we can find it is at thetechyard.com. You have it here, 619 Singapore dollars. So if you're building a brand new system and you want like the best gaming chip that is reasonably affordable other than the 9950X3D, I would say 619 Singapore dollars. Go for the 9800X3D. And moving on, 9900X, cheapest I can get it is at AliExpress. So let's go 9900X. So this is a pretty middle of the road production CPU. Actually, I've seen cheaper ones. I think there's 1543. This one is also not too bad. Huh. Yeah. So at 535 Singapore dollars, it's getting even better. This is getting cheaper and cheaper. So it's not too bad. It's 75% of its original MSRP. So if you're looking for a middle of the road production CPU, I would say the 9900X is actually not a bad choice. So it is cheaper than the 9800X3D and it's definitely faster in terms of production, because 9900X I believe should be a 12 core 24 thread chip, and it is obviously inferior to the 9950X, but its productivity performance is not too bad. So if you're someone that trying to balance maybe production and gaming, I would say the 9900X is not a bad buy as well. 535 Singapore dollars, because other than that, the next cheapest one is 150 Singapore dollars more at the techyard.com. So I would say pretty good, worthwhile risk to buy it from AliExpress. Obviously, there is no warranty when you buy from AliExpress, so that is that. Take that in mind. Moving on, 9900X3D. Hey, 9900X3D and 817. So we still see it here. And this is only one sold. This has 10 sold. So a little bit more reliable. But yeah, I don't really recommend the 9900X3D because it is a dual CCD. Even though the core parking issue is solved on the 9000X3Ds, but you are having the 3D V-cache on a 6-core CCD, because since the 9900X3D is a 12-core chip, there's 6 core on one CCD, 6 cores at another CCD. So your 3D V-cache is only on 6 core compared to the 9800X3D, which is the 3D V-cache is on the 8 core. So you will get inferior gaming performance when you're gaming on the 9900X3D compared to the cheaper 9800X3D. But when it comes to production workloads, if you can utilize all the 12 cores, it is not bad. But if you are more focused on production, such as video rendering, 3D rendering, Blender, what else? Maybe you're doing coding, you're doing streaming, for example, or you're playing in, you're doing photo editing, anything that has to do with production, maybe even AI, right? Especially if you're doing AI, then I still believe the 9900X, the non-3D one, is a lot of a better buy. Is 300 Singapore dollars less. So you're saving 300 Singapore dollars just by not going for the X3D, and you get the same production performance. So 9900X is a pretty good buy. Moving on, 9950X, cheapest I can get it. C1 is from AliExpress again. Oh, is it really this cheap? This one has 16 sold, but has no review, so it's a little bit sus. So I don't trust it. Anything else? This one has 5 sold. Yeah. No reviews as well. 10 sold. Also no reviews. Kind of sus when you say sold but you don't have reviews. Okay, this one has 7 sold but has reviews. Kind of sus though. Like, is it really reliable to get a 9950X from AliExpress? This one seems more legit, right? 15 reviews, 77 of them sold, 792. Yeah, so even though it's more expensive, this one seems more legit because you are spending almost 800 Singapore dollars on a CPU. Yeah. So, it's still a risk buying from AliExpress because, like I mentioned, there's no warranty. If you burn up your chip, you might not be able to get warranty for it. So that is the best listing I can see. Yeah, 5-star review, 77 sold. So that's the best listing that I can see. The rest are cheaper at around 600-ish Singapore dollars, but there's not enough reviews and not enough sold for me to trust it. So about 800 Singapore dollars, 9950X, the cheapest I can find it is at aliexpress.com. Alternatively, I would say actually to better safeguard yourself, maybe consider getting it locally from Shopee or Lazada. That means get it from the registered SimLim shops, because then you have local distributor warranty and you're just paying about 100 Singapore dollars more. When you're already spending like 800 Singapore dollars on expensive CPU, another 100 Singapore dollars more for the warranty is not a big ask. Okay, moving on to the next one. The 9950 X3D. This is the fastest gaming chip that is being sold everywhere. I would say so compared to the 9950X, if you're buying brand new, right, I would say get the 9950X3D instead, because if you get from Lazada or Shopee locally, you're already spending about 900 Singapore dollars. For an additional 100 Singapore dollars, you get the 3D V-Cache as well. So why don't you want to get it with the 3D V-Cache and local warranty as well? So get it from the techyard.com. We should see it here. Wait, 7900 non-X. Actually, the techyard.com has 655. Yeah, kind of expensive. Where is it? 9900 X3D. Okay. Yes, it's right here. So the 9950 X3D at 986 Singapore dollars, 16 core, 32 thread with 3D V-Cache on one of the CCDs. It is both a gaming beast as well as a productivity beast. You get the best of both worlds with this. And the core parking issue is solved with the 9000 series. That means you don't need a fresh Windows 11 install. As long as you install all the relevant, the so-called CPU chipset drivers from AMD into your Windows 11, the core parking issue should be fine. So yeah, so that's that. So the ultimate best gaming CPU and productivity chip, 9950X3D, get it from the techyard.com. Then moving on, we have the Intel one. I'll probably take a short break. Yeah, just the AMD side I've been recording for 32 minutes. So maybe I'll split the Intel one into a second video. So Intel CPUs, we're talking about the Intel Core Ultra CPUs because 13 and 14 Gen does have the degradation issue, as you can see on my screen here. 14900K at 690, so 700 Singapore dollars, even though it is discounted from this previous high price, but there is the degradation issue whereby there's a high risk that your CPU will die because of excessive voltage going into your CPU from your motherboard. And we don't know whether the latest BIOS updates from Intel actually fixes it or not. So I'm not recommending any of the 14 or 13 series CPUs from Intel. Maybe the lower end ones you can consider, like the 14400, 14400K, 14600K, for example. They should still be fine because they don't take as much power. So I don't think the degradation, the CPU degradation issues on those are as prevalent. But I'm talking about the Core Ultra chips. So even talking about it, I don't really recommend buying Core Ultra CPUs because the Ryzen CPUs actually are better value. It's cheaper. Most of the time you can get them cheaper. They are more widely available, as well as the motherboards are cheaper, which is the big thing. AMD's AM5's motherboards are so cheap. You can get them for like about 100 Singapore dollars, which is the very bare bones level AM5 CPU that can support a 7400, 7500F with no issues at all. I actually have one of those very cheap A620M motherboard chipsets right here in my room. Use it as my test bench, and I've tested it with the 7400F, 7600X as well. There's no problems at all, so it runs pretty stably. So I don't really recommend going Intel chips for several reasons. First, CPUs are more expensive, that's one. The motherboards are more expensive, that's two. And gaming performance is worse than the AMD chips, especially worse than the X3D chips, that's three. And also the chipset is dead because you don't get any upgrade options by going for Intel Core Ultra. I think there might be a Core Ultra refresh that is coming on the same chipset maybe next year, because we're already at the end of 2025, but there might not be. So the other new Intel chips, if they don't have a refresh, the new Intel chips will be going away from the current LGA 1851 chipset. So that means if you buy an Intel motherboard with maybe a Core Ultra 235, for example, and then you are trying to wait until the next series of Intel chips to upgrade, you have to buy a brand new brand new motherboard along with the brand new CPU if you're upgrading your Intel chips. So there's like big four reasons why it's not worth it. Intel CPUs are more expensive. Their Intel motherboards are more expensive. The gaming performance is worse compared to AMD, as well as it's a dead platform whereby you cannot upgrade using the same motherboard to the next generation of Intel chips. So big four reasons why I don't recommend Intel. But even after saying that, even if you still want to go Intel, this is the video for you. And let's go through the prices. So cheapest 225, I can find it from Lazada actually. I don't even know Intel Core Ultra 225. Okay. I don't even know how many cores is that. Is it this one? Yeah, from CR Group. It is, how many cores is it? 10 core? 10 threads? Yeah, 10 core, 10 threads. But how many P cores? I think maybe what, 4 P cores and 6 E cores. I'm not super sure. But this is the lowest end Intel Core Ultra chip that you can have, which probably is a good choice for, let's say, a low budget gaming system. So that's that. You can get it from Lazada at around 270 Singapore dollars. Moving on to 225F. Is it the same listing? 225F. No, not the same listing. 225. Nope. 225F. Yeah, I can't find it anymore. I can't find it. I can't find it. This 225F. Oh, it's more expensive. 225F box. Wow, it's more expensive. Yeah, I can't find the cheap 225F anymore. So the 225F is actually more expensive. Yeah, I can't find it. Oh no, it's at Shopee. That's why I can't find it. Intel Core Ultra 225F. Where is it? Here? Slightly more expensive. Also from CR Group. Okay, so cheapest Intel Core Ultra 225F, whereby F stands for no integrated graphics. I don't really recommend it because one of the big advantages of going with an Intel chip is for video editing, whereby Intel chips still have the quick sync technology, whereby they use the CPU to do a lot of like video decoding for, I think, the widest variety of codecs support that has ever been on any CPU. Yeah, even AMD CPUs don't support that, so AMD CPUs don't have quick sync. So if you're a video, like if you're using Adobe Premiere Pro, I think even using DaVinci Resolve, I think Intel QuickSync does help as well. So it really helps in like video decoding when you're doing video editing. So that means if you're using a F series Intel chip, you don't have that integrated graphics, you don't get that quick sync. So I don't recommend any of the Intel Core Ultra chips with the F. I would say that integrated graphics is the main benefit of getting an Intel chip, because like I mentioned at the start of the video, big four reasons why you don't want to get an Intel Core Ultra chip. So the only reason left you might want to get Intel Core Ultra chip is if you are video editing and you want that Intel QuickSync. So if your Intel chip doesn't support Intel QuickSync, there's totally no reason to get it anymore. So 225F cheapest I can find one is at 241.80 cents at shopee.sg. Moving on, 235. Cheapest is Amazon actually. So let me take a search. Intel Core Ultra 235. Is it still a 10 core chip? Oh, it's a 14 core. So Intel Core Ultra 235, it's a 14 core, 6P core, and 8E core. Should be a 14 thread chip as well, right? So 235, cheapest I can find is around 406 Singapore dollars from Amazon.sg. This one still has integrated graphics because it's a non-F. I can't find any listing for 245. So moving on, 245KF, the cheapest I can find is actually from Shopee. 245KF. Intel Core 245KF. Oh, where is it? 245KF. Yeah, the cheapest now is, yeah, it's more expensive. It's at Shopee, it's at 315. But again, because it has a F on it, so there's no integrated graphics. So I don't really recommend this chip because no quick sync, not good for video editing. Moving on, 245K. Cheapest I can find one is at Amazon. So let me just back off to 45K. Okay, cheapest I can find. This is a 245K. Is also a 14 core chip, 6P core, 8E core. Yeah, so similar to the 245KF. Just that it has integrated graphics, supports quick sync. Cheapest I can find it is at this. So it's $235 Singapore dollars. Moving on, 265 again from Amazon again. 265. So I think back around the middle of this year, a few months ago, the Core Ultra 265 and 265Ks were really, really cheap because I don't know why there was a big supply of the 265. And you will see the 265KF here at the techyard.com is also pretty cheap, but yeah, I don't recommend it because it doesn't support Intel QuickSync, but it is pretty attractive at its price of 385. Wait. Yeah. But okay, let's before I get distracted, 265 non-K, non-F at cheapest is wait. Oh, there's a cheaper one here. By tech deals. Oh, okay. That's not too bad. Okay, that's not too bad. 470 Singapore dollars. Not too bad as well. So it is below MSRP. 265 non-K, but it has integrated graphics. 265F though. Wait, this is a 265K. My bad. 265K. Oh, this 265K. Yeah, it's not the 265. So the 265 is actually more expensive at Amazon. Yeah. So this is the 265 is more expensive at Amazon. 534 Singapore dollars. So not really recommended because you can see that the 265K, which is overclockable and also has integrated graphics, is actually cheaper. So the 265K is my choice there. So 265F is no integrated graphics. Let's back a bit. 265F, is it listed here? Mr. KF. 265F. Yeah. So listed here. 509 Singapore, $509.90. So 510 Singapore dollars. 265F, not recommended because it's not more expensive than the 265K. And again, with the F series, you don't have integrated graphics, so no quick sync support. 265KF though, interesting. So the techyard.com has it. 265KF. Oh, is it more expensive now? 245. That's 245KF. 265KF. Where is it? Yeah, it's right here. 385 Singapore dollars. Sold by the techyard.com. So this is kind of interesting because it is a lot cheaper than the 265K, about 100 Singapore dollars less, but no integrated graphics though, because it's F series. So it is kind of a yeah, it's kind of a no deal for me because, like I mentioned, the only reason you're gonna buy an Intel Core Ultra chip is for video editing. Uh, yeah. So I would say, even though it's 100 Singapore dollars cheaper, it is pretty attractive. The cheapest at 385 Singapore dollars from thetechyard.com for the 265KF, but because of its lack of integrated graphics, yeah, I would say probably pass and just spend that 100 Singapore dollars more, get the 265K from Amazon.sg. So 265K at Amazon.sg, and it is actually sold by a local shop at Tech Deals. That means you are gonna get a local warranty because sold by a local distributor such as Tech Deals, which is a Simlim shop in Simlim. Yeah, so for 100 Singapore dollars more, get the 265K instead because it has integrated graphics, so a 20 core, which is 8P core, 12E core, 20 thread chip, 20 core, 20 thread chip. It's pretty much of a beast in terms of video editing, as well as productivity systems. For gaming, it's pretty bad, but productivity wise, it is a beast. And moving on, if you want even more productivity at double the price, you can get a 285 and the 285K. So let's go for Intel Core Ultra 285. 886. Okay. So for double the price compared to the 265K, you can get a 285K, which is a 24 core, which is wait, am I saying correct? 8 P core, but more E cores, 16 E cores. So just as more E cores, and you have to pay double the price. 886, basically 887 Singapore dollars for 285 non-K, and the 285K is this one. It's also cheapest at Amazon, and I think if you see all buying options here, yep, the cheapest one is this from Tech Deals, which is also actually a local distributor. So it's a local Simlim shop selling the 285K at 861 Singapore dollars. So I would say, if you're considering between the two, go for the 285K because 285K, I mean, both 285K has integrated graphics, so no issues for video editing. But the 285K is overclockable, means you can also underclock it if you don't want as much power consumption, and if you're afraid of your Intel chip burning out, like the 14 and high-end 14 and 13 Gen series, you can underclock it to make it last longer, perhaps. So there is that for the Intel Core Ultra chips, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.